How's everybody doing? Zach here with Husbandry.Pro, Business Development Manager. We're on our Ep.2 of Let's Talk Husbandry.Pro. We have a special guest tonight. It's Holly Russell from Texome Exotics. We'll be talking about how to make labels and ways to use them. Let me go ahead and bring Holly on with us.
No, that wasn't 30 seconds. How's it going, Zach?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm great.
Okay. So it's our new series. You know, Robert and Billy led it off last time with a little introduction to the series. And this is our first meat and potatoes one where we're actually going to get to dive into the, specifics of a system. I've obviously helped test all these systems and stuff, and Holly's got to work with the system. So Holly gets to present the other side of the shoe, of a new person trying to use it versus someone who tested it every day. And, of course it's going to work right for me. I tested it. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of
right. I'm the test dummy.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Let me see if I can share my screen here.
All right.
There we go. There we go.
Better.
All right, I'm already logged in here. This is a demo account that I have pulled up for this. And this is an account like I don't have anything here. I have nothing except for the default incubator, which everybody gets for an incubation label to start you off. I didn't want an unfair advantage and set this up in front of, before I got here. I wanted everyone to see the process. So you're going to find that under utilities. And you'll notice your stuff might be in a different order than mine. You can rearrange that. We'll talk about that in another video, but find your utility section and your label designer will be somewhere in here. If you're a new user, it'll be one of the top options, but it does say new right there next to it to let you know you're in the right one. The old label designers, the Dymo one, the sheet label designer, you don't want to use that one going forward. You want to use the new one. The new one does everything the old one did and more, all in one location. We will leave the old ones up there for people who are used to using them, but we will start turning them off at some point in time in the future for new users where they don't even see them unless you have to go in and turn them on. But we'll never turn anybody's off who's already got it on. But so you go in here, go to your label designer, and it's kind of just set up with a blank screen here. You can see you've got a little blank card. And let me pull me up real quick. I have right here. Oh, sorry, my virtual screen's messing with stuff. I've got a brand new box. Haven't even opened it. Doing this fresh live just for y'all. And we are using a Brothers QL800 thermal printer for our example today. Okay, so I'm going to open up my package here. Hope it's easy. We're doing this back. Okay, that was pretty easy.
I haven't seen these done yet.
Okay, you keep popping me back up over here. Okay, so it actually has, I don't know if I can get it in there good enough.
Yeah, you may need to turn off your green screen for this to show stuff.
Yeah, it's not going to focus on it. Let me see here.
There you go.
There you go. And you can see it's got the millimeters written right here on top and your inches down there and DK tape. So we are going to be using the millimeters. Our system does use millimeters over here. And you'll see you have your millimeters here. And I can see that this tape I'm using is 17 by 87. I know the 17 is the height actually. And 87 is the length. And so it's already got this math done for you, which is awesome. If you have an Avery label and you're looking up this, your Avery label is going to come in inches only. You will have to Google or, convert your inches into millimeters. And so margins, you need a 2 margin for your thermal labels. You can see how it gives you a little bit of padding right there. That's what that margin is. Because your thermal labels, they're not the most accurate when they print. If you don't leave that, you'll end up with stuff getting cut off on some of your labels. So now that I've put in my specifics for my label size, you can see the label here looks like what the approximate label size is when it comes out. And I can zoom in on it if I want to, make it a little bigger. I'll go ahead and zoom in on it so everybody can see it good.
Yeah.
And you have all of your options here. So we'll just go through all the options one by one. So on QR code, you don't have a lot. It's just show it or hide it. You can do a background color there or a foreground color.
How many options do you have under the background color?
You got the full color gambit here. And if you know your specific color code, it's not showing anything right here. On my screen, I see it. Whenever you click on this, when you click on this right here, you get a pop-up. I don't know why it's not showing on the screen, but it's got the numbers where you can type in if you know the code, or where you can just pick around and click on the perfect blue that you like or red. I'm not going to do any of these because it doesn't work with a thermal. Standard QR codes. We're typically going to use this. Your specific or code labels, that's going to be for different systems, like if you're doing an activity QR or something along those lines. But your standard QR code label, that's what we're practicing with today. You'll use the standard label for any kind of new animal that you're setting up or something along those lines. You're going to use that setting for that.
Okay.
So let's go ahead, and we've already got it turned on now. We're keeping it on that, and that's set on by default because that's what you're normally going to use. Now, I can move this anywhere I want it. Let's go ahead and put it top left corner, or top right corner, sorry. Dyslexic. Let's make it a little bigger. I like it to be pretty big on my label. And then let's go to the next tab over here, sex icon. And now you can have it or you don't have it. You show it or hide it. It is popping up over there behind, so I've got to move some stuff to get it. We're going to tweak some stuff on that so it shows up more centered or something, but you do have to watch out for that. If you're showing and hiding something and you don't find it, you can't see it, it's probably behind something. Move something around to find it, and you'll find it.
Now this design would be like really good for going to shows, right? And putting it on your oh my
displays.
Displays, thank you.
Yes, that's actually I'm making a sale tag right here. You can do all different kinds of tags for different things. Like the one I commonly use the most is actually my sales tag because I do 25 shows a year. So I'm reprinting sales labels a lot, and that's where the thermal comes in super handy because I can just go and hit print on 60 of them, and it just spits them out for me, and I come back and throw them on there.
Oh, that's convenient.
Now here you can do the icons, which we got the Prince icon just showing as a placeholder there, or you can do the MFU for the male, female, unsexed. I'm going to put my QR code on this side just because everything's going to keep popping up on that right side.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can do the MFU, or you can have it wrote out, male, female, unknown. I like the MFU, so we're going to go with that. And we'll put that up here. I like that to be a little bigger. You can change the color of it, but again, I'm doing a thermal. It's not going to print it. It's just going to do black and white. There are some thermals that do different colors, though. All right, so we went too far. Go to the fields that we want on here, and so you can see this full screen. You've got a nice little gambit here that you can select. This is your general setting stuff through here. Your animal fields that you'll find on like your animal list view or something like that. I like to use the animal ID. A lot of people will use name, but my for sale snakes don't all have names. They all have an ID, so that's what I'm going with.
Exactly.
All right. And I don't really care so much about that. So down here, I can change the text of it. If I want to change the font that's going to show up, do whatever I like. I'm a big fan of my Times New Roman, so we're just going to keep with that. I'm going to make that a little smaller. I don't think that's as important. We can bold it, italic it, underline it. I'm not going to do any of that because I like it how it is. You can also change the color of the individual text too. If you're using like a real printer, you can make all this stuff customizable for colors, however you want to do it. You get a nice little pop-up box that's like this big. It's huge. I don't know if you can see it with my mouse. It's a big square that pops up here. I don't know why it's not showing up. So we added our animal ID. I want to go with descriptor. We'll keep it quick. Line it up how you like it. Oh, I'm not sure if it's lined up quite right. I can go over here and turn on guided line. There we go. So that is.
And where was that at? Can you show me that again? Because I don't know
right
about
here
that
in this
one.
top right-hand corner, you have a nice little toggle switch. It says guided line.
Okay.
And this helps out a lot if you're, like I'm pretty OCD with this. I like all my stuff to be set up just right.
Yes.
And I can see that they're already nice and lined up and everything. So I'll turn that back off. My descriptor is pretty important to me, so I'm going to bold that. Actually, I'm not going to bold it. I'm going to italics, and I'm going to leave it a little bit bigger than the animal ID. All right, what else do I need on here? Well, this is sales tax price. Oh, it's down here a little bit. Got to kind of peek for it sometimes when you're doing these little labels. And I want it over here on this right-hand side. All of your labels are going to start printing right here where like the first letter's at and not where the brackets are at. And unless you're using, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can kind of run this off the end here. I know I can fit it right about there. It's going to fit anything up to $1,000 or so dollars.
Okay.
All right, so I got my sale price, my ID, my descriptor. This is all I want to do on it, but let's look through some other options here. If you wanted to, you can add your animal's photo to this. This is really good. I've done this on a couple of the tubs for, my holdbacks and stuff. And you just go to show hide, and it'll add this picture here. Obviously, I'm going to have to resize it down because it's a little bitty skinny label.
And on this, it won't print it in color, just black and white.
Yeah, it's not going to print in color, so I'm not actually going to do this on the label. But you just put the animal photo where you want it, and then if the animal has a photo, it'll insert the photo right there whenever you pick your animals at a later screen. I'm going to turn that off because this is a demo account and I don't have pictures on here, so no picture's going to load anyways. But if you want to, that's where you do it. Now you can go in here to images. It's the next tab. So if you want to add image, it's just going to randomly pop up here. And see how now that I've clicked on the image here, nothing pops up until I click on that image. Once I click on it, now I have a new box here. And that's where I can go in here and I can add stuff.
Like a logo or something like that?
Yeah, try to add a logo. On my labels, which I'll show you real quick, on my other computer, I didn't realize I didn't have my labels on there, but I've got a demo. You can barely see it. It doesn't like to print in the, there you go. It's all just a ghost looking. But I added my logo to it. I don't have a copy of it on this screen here, or on this computer to add it in here. But you can add your logo, move it around, make it however big you want it. Now, it will show up however you have that logo. So if you want it to be like somewhat translucent or something, that's something you're going to have to do outside of the system in your own photo editor. Or if you have a large file image, like a detailed image, you're going to have to go in and make a smaller condensed version of it that's going to fit inside this, because it's only going to take so much data. It's not going to take one of these huge files. It'll show up. If it does show up, it'll show up ridiculously blown up and you won't be able to shrink it down. So you are going to have to edit the picture, and that's something you would have to do for most other systems. We're going to take that off and I just delete it. We don't like it. All right, so background. If you want a background, you can color the whole background, which obviously we're not going to do that because it's not going to print here, but you can change the whole tag color if you like. A lot of people like this feature. If you're using your color printers and stuff, this is going to look really nice. But we're going to go with white here because we don't want to get any label we can't read. All right, so we went through all the options here, and we're ready. We've set up how our label wants to look, and now we're ready to go ahead and move on to the next part of it. We'll go next, and now this is where you're setting up your page. If you're using an Avery sheet label designer, or if you're using a standard printer, you're going to want to stick with multiple. And this is where you can set it up, whether it's A4 letter, 15 rows, 2 columns. And then you can see where you start building out your page. You will have to look up your Avery label and what the measurements are and the spacings to put them in there, because Avery has literally hundreds of different formats for their labels and hundreds of different labels to pick from. So that's why we don't have those all in there for you, is because there's hundreds of them. But for this one, we're using a thermal. So if you're using a thermal, you don't have multiple labels, you have one. And it's going to give you a little brief picture of what your thermal looks like, so you know it looks good. If it doesn't look right here, you can go ahead and go to the previous and go fix it. But everything looks good here, so we're going to go next. All right, now we're at the screen where we can select what animals we want to pick. You do have a nice little toggle switch over here for your filters. And you've got some basic filters right here. I utilize this a lot. Like my favorite one is for sale. Yes. Apply. And because I'm coming here and I'm printing sales tags, so I want all my sales snakes. Animal type, maybe you just want to print. See, I've got several different animal types in here. Oh, I want to see all my king snakes, or I want to see all my ball pythons. But I want to look at everything that's for sale, so I'm just going to filter by that. And then I can kind of close my filters. But you've got some, filter by feeder type. You can look up your inactive stuff, but it's going to default here to your active because you're making labels for something that's probably for an animal that's actually active in your system. And now you'll notice every one of mine have a price here. Now they're for sale, so of course they have a price here. If they don't have a price here, that's fine too. But I can go like this, and if you see the prices, they all switched. Now this account doesn't have a discount price system set up, so they switched to the 0 price. Or I can put them back on the regular price. So if you have a second price set up for show pricing or anything along those lines, whenever you get here to print your label, that's where you can decide, okay, I want to print my show price, or I want to print my other system prices. So you can change that there. We're going to leave it open, and I'm just going to pick this nice one here. I want to pick somebody with a nice long name so we can see what happens. We get a little runoff.
There we go.
All right, we'll do 3. We'll pick 3 animals. All right, so I've got my animals I want to print. We'll go to next. Okay, so now here you get a nice little demo display screen. This shows you what your label's actually going to look like. So if, say, I look here, and look here, I can see that this does not, I have a comma there, so I know that that's not all on there. So I can take off, let me take off that 100%. All right, that almost got it all on there. Let me see. Oh, black pastel. Let me abbreviate that. Make some nice little changes. Okay, there we go. Now I've got the stranger, fire, BP for black pastel, het pipe, pos, het monsoon. Now it all fits. Here, I've got the same thing, so I'm going to go through and make some little changes. See if I can get it all to fit on there. And if this is happening too many times, maybe I need to go redesign my label. I still have a comma, so I'm missing stuff here. Let's go do the black pastel also. And this isn't something I've already pre-set up or tried out, so you are seeing it as I'm seeing it. If this doesn't all fit, then we have to go back and change it. So I'm still missing something. So let's go ahead and we'll take off Barnhart, and we'll just tell people it's Barnhart. Paw sugar. Okay, it's on there. So this will work for now. Oh, I'm missing some up here too. All right. And that is why you go pick some nice samplings and you look at everything before you get here to make sure it's all going to work. And it's super nice having this screen right here, because now I don't have to go back and change everything I've been doing to get here. So now I've got them all looking right. The whole thing's printing. Everything looks like it fits nice. I like this label, so I'm going to save and print. If you're just printing, you haven't changed anything, you just hit print. Do not get this far and design this beautiful label and forget to save and print, or you will have to do this again.
Yes.
So save and print. Now let's go ahead and name it. And this is going to be my sales tag. And because I use thermals and non-thermals, I'll label it thermal too, just so I know. Whatever you want to label it. Okay, now here's my little mock-up screen. Can't change anything in here, but you get a little view. This is just a click-through screen, really. Print, got it all up in here, printed. More settings. All right, now I know that that is not the size of my label. And so let me look and see what my label is that I just had out a second ago. It is 2/3 by 3 7/16. Let me see here. Not that. 2/3. 3 7/16. That's probably it. Yeah, that looks right. We're gonna try it. we're doing this live, so we'll see. And actually, if there's a brief pause, that's because I'm actually putting this into my printer right now. Sitting here plugging this into my printer right now. I've never done this before. I've done some other ones on some other sizes, but this is actually a restickable label too.
Now, you said before those are really good at how many uses, just about?
I haven't tried this on the thermal yet. I know the Avery's, on the Avery's, I get, at least 2 or 3 sticks out of them before they start kind of not wanting to stick so good. On these, I'm not sure. Like, I'm doing this live with y'all for the first time. I just hooked up my brother's printer yesterday and tested this out. So, yeah. It looked easier. The first one did easier. Let's get Holly up here too, so y'all are just watching me do this.
Yeah. So,
well, this label's a lot skinnier than the other labels I was trying on, so it's actually, I'm finding it hard to load this thing into the printer. Nothing to do with husbandry, though.
He was talking about, now these are just the cage cards under the, but I got my logo on there. I changed the background color, my QR code. I put everything I wanted on there. Love these. And then I just use cardstock myself, and then I laminate them also. And then I get this little Velcro stickies, and these things are so sticky, y'all. And all of my materials for printing these come from Walmart.
Oh yeah, a lot of people use cardstock too, because the Avery labels, I'll tell you, the Avery labels might make you a little irritated whenever y'all start doing the sheet label designer, because they do everything in millimeters, inches. So you're gonna have to convert stuff to millimeters. Just look up Avery measurements for your specific label. Like, for example, I use 8066s because it's a restickable file folder label. And so I Google search Avery 8066 file folder dimensions, and it'll give me the dimensions, and then I break them down and convert them, and then I have to start plugging that into our system. And when you get up to the sample, print on paper. That is the biggest thing. Print on notebook paper, hold it up to your expensive Avery label, and make sure everything lines up. If it lines up, then you're good, and you can go start printing on your labels. If it doesn't, you wasted a 2-cent piece of paper instead of a 50-cent Avery sheet. That will definitely help you. And if you start getting runoff where something runs off a different page, or the first page looks good, 9 out of 10 times you're talking about a 0.5 millimeter adjustment. Because like I do know for a fact, like your Avery 8066, if you convert it down, it converts down to like, it's something like 87.9 millimeters. But if you put that in, it only the first page is right. You have to change the 87.9 to 87.5, and it works perfectly. So be prepared to tweak it just a little bit with your Avery sheet labels. It's an Avery thing. We're working on seeing what we can do about it in the future, maybe. But let's go back to my screen here. I got my printer hooked up finally.
All right.
There we go. Thank you, Ella. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit print. Hope our lovely printer we hooked up yesterday does what we're supposed to do. It does not. It tells me my paper size is the wrong size.
Oh,
so
okay.
I use print using system dialog. Well, let me show you real quick. when I do that, how do I change screens? Present.
Yeah, you can only do one at a time.
I want to share all the screens.
I know, right?
Oh, here we go. We'll do this. Entire screen. So when I did, we'll go back and do it. So I go into print, and this is your default printer in here. If you're having any problems with this, you can do this to go to your system printer. This is something I found. It's an issue with the Brothers printer because you have to go into preferences from here, Brother QL, preferences, and then it brings you to this screen, and I have to change my label size here. And again, my label was, let me find my box for the 15th time here. 2/3 by 3 7/16. Oh, here we go. It was up. Okay. 3 7/16. There we go. That should be our label. Okay. Apply. And now print. There we go. Once you set that up, you shouldn't have to do that again. All right.
Is it working?
It worked. It did. Let me see here. Okay. There we go. And so now I have my label.
That is fast.
There we go. You can kind of see it. My adjustments are a little bit off. And so I know I'm going to have to go through and adjust this real quick. But you can see that's how you do it. You know, my adjustments were a little bit off on my parameters. I'm going to go through and print it back up. And honestly, if I'm looking at what I've got here, it looks like I didn't have my paper lined up in the printer right.
Mm.
And that's user error. So,
But that's okay. Because I'll tell you, when you, that, like you said, use your sample, your piece of paper. Don't use your stock. Whatever
well,
you're doing.
if you get these thermals, your labels are a lot cheaper. So that's not something you have to worry about. Now, I'm not going to bore y'all with the tediousness of me going back and tweaking it 5 times to get the label to come out exactly right. If you're doing the Brothers or the Brothers, or there's another company that does a big thermal company, but if you're using your thermals, usually it's just 1 or 2 adjustments. Like I've got this one right here. I have my logo on it.
There we go. Your green screen is picking everything up. See, I like those size better.
Yeah, these are a little bit bigger, but these aren't restickable.
Oh.
And I wanted to do a true test live with y'all, and not like I did this one off screen yesterday, and I had to tweak this one, I believe, 3 times. And so it was 3 times to get it to print right. But once you got that and it's in there, it's safe. And so you just go back to utilities. Let me pull my screen back up again. You go back to utilities, label designer. You go to load save labels. Now I've got this there for me. Bam. And so I don't have to look all this information up here on the top again.
And that goes back to where at the very end it says save and print. Make sure you save what you've done.
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely want to be saving what you're printing there. And this is what you would do: is you would load it back up, and I would know, hey, this stuff cut off, so let me move this just a little bit here. Or like at first, I didn't have my margins set, and it was cutting off, and so I look, oh, where's my margins? You know what? Some of my stuff's getting cut off because not all your thermals are as accurate as other thermals, and so like those labels will kind of slop through there a little bit, and that's what those margins are for. They're not as accurate as like an actual nice laser printer at your house would be even. And so you can add, like, let's bump that up to a 3, not 33. And bam, and I can see that it moved my margins and squeezed everything in. So I got more of a room for error on printing another one. And then I would go through and just print other ones. And next, all the way through. I save every time. And then whenever I get to one that's good, I come back in here. I go to load, save, label. It always puts the new one on the bottom. So I delete the ones above it. And then you're left with your good one. So that is how we make a label.
we're big.
So did you have any questions on that process, Holly, whenever you were working through it? What were some challenges you might have had?
My challenges were because I wanted to print two different sizes. I wanted this for my 1065, and then for my 5540, I wanted bigger. And so I had to go through and adjust my sizes. And yeah, I tested my Jesus a lot, but I had Bobby there to help me, and I'm glad he was. But that was really my only issue because I'm not used to working in millimeters or centimeters. I'm an inch person, you know what I mean?
Well, and we started all this. I mean, well, first and foremost, it's a Canadian-based company, so we do have the millimeters in there. But we were thinking about what we should have in there and what we should switch to. But all of your like brothers labels and everything, they all come in millimeters, and that's what they do have the inches on there too. But the millimeters is really where it's at because whenever you're putting in like 7/16 the millimeter for down to a millimeter, you can take in tenths of a millimeter for your adjustments. And so it's a lot easier to get your stuff to align correctly with your millimeters because like your Avery labels, you put in two-thirds on them, it's not going to print. You convert that to millimeters, it's not going to print. And you're like, what's going wrong? Because it's not really that in millimeters. It's not really exactly two-thirds. What it is 29.5 millimeters. I'm just throwing out random numbers. But that's what it was in that example. It was 0.5 of a millimeter instead of 0.9 of a millimeter. And so you get the accuracy of it, and that's what's going to make everything print right. It's a little bit more tedious to get it through there, but if you try to just put in the inches, and we've had a system with that, your labels would just not line up right. Because if you've ever used Avery labels before, you have gone through fits, you've screamed, you've wasted papers and papers, and that's because you'll set them up in inches, and there's just so much of a margin of error in the inches, and they'll just come out just not right. With ours, I will say, once you get it set up for the Avery system, it's perfect. It comes out right every time. If it's not coming out right, it's because your computer's not feeding them right. Feed one sheet at a time. Your high-end printers, I found, because I did buy a high-end printer, and that one, I can stick 15 of them in there. It spits them out no problem. But with the low-end printers, I found that it just didn't grab quite right. It has nothing to do with the system and everything to do with, exactly how accurate printers are.
Right.
So,
with the Avery labels, I didn't have an issue with, except for, the labels themselves, trying them on the rack and tubs and the sticking and all that mess. That's why I did go over to this, because when you get so much more information on here, you can see it a little better, right? When you get older, we gotta have it bigger. And I eventually do want to get one of the QR guns. And
oh yeah, we're gonna play with that. We're gonna play with that in one of the guns you said.
Yes, he has one. Of course, he has one.
We're gonna play with that in just a second. So what else was challenging on the setting it up? Was it just really just the measurements and stuff for the labels to get them right?
Yeah, it was the measurements, and cardstock is just a little bit bigger than regular paper. And so going through a professional printer, trying to get all of your sizing down, and yeah, that was my only problem with it.
Well, and a lot of those pages, it's just as simple as a lot of those pages are A4 instead of letter. And A4 just looks, it's just so close, and people just like, it's not doing right. And a lot of your generic labels are A4 instead of whatever the standard letter, A4 instead of letter.
Here's you a good question.
Labels for egg boxes. Okay, so let me pull this back up real quick. So you can see here in the load saved label, it's your default incubator label. You load that up and close that out. I'm kind of zoomed in on it. Let me zoom it back out a little bit. And there's like a default label. You can set one up. You need to set up your clutch box label first. And then to actually get this to print the proper one, you can print it from here and select the animal and everything, but really the clutch is designed to be used from the incubator. You would go to the incubator tab. This is the demo account. I don't have a clutch set up, but you would have your clutch right here, and on the right-hand side, you would click on it, and there's an option for you to print clutch label. and it'll print it. It will redirect you to this screen where you'll go and load up, your clutch card or whatever. Now, when you click on through here, it will have all your animals selected for you by default whenever you're doing a clutch label. So that's something I've worked on a lot in the last couple months. It's a lot of link throughs. So it'll redirect you from your breeding incubator over to this screen. You'll load this up. You'll go through. You'll next. You'll have it already set up. Go through next. Your animals will already be selected for you that are going on there because that's through the incubation system. So you just next again. Now here I have to select one because I'm doing it manually. And now you'll get a little bit more of a walkthrough in that too. We will be having an incubator section. Somebody will be going through and setting up egg boxes and converting eggs or converting clutches in the next few weeks. And this will be part of their demonstration that you go through and you just print, and it's going to print it out for you. But it all starts with going into utilities and setting up your incubator tab how you want it. I usually just start with that. A lot of people don't want all that information or even use it all, or you want other information. It's fine. You can still go into your screen, change anything like that.
Can you show them how to delete off of there?
If you don't want one?
Yes.
Well, let me see here. Okay, maybe don't modify it. Maybe make a full custom one. It looks like the default incubator will not let me take these off of here. So these are all going to be on here on your default one. I can move them around. I can resize them, but I can't turn them off. So if you don't want to use this, just go in here and just start just like the other ones, whatever size
label you have.
No one let me type in there. Huh. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, it does not like me changing that default one. So yeah, this will give you a general idea of what you can do with it, but it's not going to want to let you change much. Oh, now it's working. Okay, all right. I just found a little weird bug. Okay. You can go through here and set it up however you want it.
Okay.
Okay. So this is where you would set it up. You set it up the same way. We'll play around with this default one. We just loaded the default one in there not too long ago because we were setting up the clutch boxes. So we'll have to play around with that a little bit more. But you can definitely just go straight to your label designer and just start designing the same way you would and just name it whatever you want to name it, clutch label or whatever, clutch label 2, clutch label thermal. Mine will be clutch label thermal. So I can print it on my thermal, and then you'll load it up and you just set it up the same way with whatever stuff you want. Yeah.
And you can also put the background colors on those, correct?
Oh, the colors on the labels? Oh, yes. Yeah, you can do whatever colors on any of those that you want.
Okay.
I'm just clicking different screens here. There we go.
Zach is still not learning, but conquering the StreamYard.
It's not my first time.
But you're doing great.
It's not my third time either.
Exactly. So is there anybody in the chat that has any questions about printing the labels or ideas even?
Yeah, we'll take a few questions on this, and then we'll go ahead and we'll move into ways to use the labels and other things like that, and then we'll take some more questions at the end. Oh, we have a question here. Yes, Alicia is following you. That does appear to be the case.
Oh, this is a good one. I think myself, it's easier to work it on the desktop when you're printing labels.
Yeah, it's definitely easier. I've personally found, and other people I've worked with, if you're loading in a bulk collection, like you've already got a few animals to start with, it's definitely easier to load them all in on the computer. It's a little easier to set up this label system on the computer as well. Once you have it all set up, it all works just fine from the cell phone. Like I'm not 90% of the time I utilize my cell phone for doing most of my regular activities. But I like to be able to have that big screen there in front of me and see everything. And on a cell phone view, you get condensed view, and there's just no way around that because it's a cell phone. You can turn your phone sideways, but then you still get, like, it's just easier to do some things on there when I've got a mouse. And I know people who don't use it. There's nothing you have to use the web for. You can do it all on your phone. As far as I know, I haven't found anything that I can't do on my phone. I know I can print these labels from my phone, which is super awesome. But setting them up, it was a little tedious. There's lots of back and forth. It was definitely easier to do on the computer. Set it up on the PC, use it on your phone and stuff. Yeah, so now I'm fortunate enough I have a computer here in my room, but so I can print off thermal labels and everything right here from the reptile facility. But I also have a tablet that I use in there, and I hook up a hand scanner to it, and I'll have my little tablet on my work cart when I'm rolling around, and I'll be scanning tubs, putting in activities on my tablet, and I'll have that all pulled up. And yeah, it makes everything super easy.
I need one of those for Christmas.
Yeah, we'll talk about the scanner here in just a second. It's one of my favorite toys.
That's the only questions I see so far.
Oh yeah. I did notice that. I was playing around with the QR stuff and I tried changing the colors on it, and it's like it'll make it a little wonky. The hand scanner that I've got will read them pretty good, but your phone, it can be a problem.
Jamie.
Print labels for egg boxes. All right, let's go into a couple other things about the labels and stuff now that we've got some labels. So you can get you one of these level scanners here. I'm gonna turn off this back. It's bugging me. We'll just have to deal with my hard speed. All right, so I got this little hand scanner. It's hooked into my computer right now, but it is wireless. It does have a little dongle, so you can hook it up to a laptop and use it wirelessly. It's rechargeable, the specific one that I've got, but hooked up to my computer, it's just easy for me to hook it in wired if I don't hook it in backwards.
And where can you purchase those at?
This is bought off Amazon. Like any of your scanners are going to work there. I will put a link down in the comments later for this one. No plug for it or anything, but this is the one we've tested with. It's a really good one, and I like the fact that it's wireless or wired. You can actually get longer, like little scrunchy wires for it if you like to use the wire. And I know people who've used it like that with a laptop, or you can just use the little dongle, have it charged. The charge actually is a ridiculous amount of time. I've never had this thing go dead on me. I've just charged it because I was worried about it going dead on me. But the accuracy is so much greater because you'll find, like, whenever you're pulling out your cell phone, which works perfectly fine, especially for like your smaller collections or your moderately sized collections, if you're just doing a quick activity here or there, I'm definitely using the scanner on my cell phone. But if I'm going through doing bulk activities, like say you're like me and you've got 217 animals that you're doing updated weights on, sitting there and pulling out your phone a lot, you might scan one across the room or over here, or you're sitting here doing this number and then scanning it. And this is just like, you're not going to get it wrong, and it scans so much faster. So with a tablet and this hand scanner and my cart, which has my scales on it and a little box that I put the snakes in, I can go through and I have a tag, like this one. Backwards.
There you go.
I have a tag like this one. It is not like the glare. There we go. I have a tag like this one on every single one of my tubs, and I'll go through, scan it, type in the number. I'm literally scanning it, open it up, the snake's in the box. I type in the number, I hit enter, the snake's going back in the box. I'm going to the next one. And I can actually do about 2 a minute. And so it takes me a couple hours to go through and do 200 and something snakes, which is way faster than sitting there, getting them out, writing it, And a lot of people, if you're doing pen and paper, you're writing this stuff down and then you don't have access to it anywhere except for on pen and paper right there at the snake's tub. I can get it in the system just as fast or faster, and I have access to it anywhere. I can get a growth chart from it, and it's all there. I can pass that information on to the customers if I want to. It's like, I don't see why you wouldn't. But let's play with it a little bit. Let's get my screen back up here. And so you got a little QR button right down here it's on pretty much every screen. Oh, it helps if I click it over here and not trying to click it on the.
We'll make it a little bit bigger.
Screen. Probably helps if I don't have it on 200 animals per page also. If you ever experiencing like it's taking a little bit long, well, first of all, I'm streaming right now, but if you turn this down, less animals, it loads much faster. But so from any screen, you can see I've still got that button here. Mm-hmm. It just stays there. You've got it turned on in settings. So I just do that. I'm actually going to scan, this label that I've got here. Scan this label that I got here. It didn't scan properly. Where am I screen? There we go. Oh, it's because I've been logged out for security purposes. Because you didn't click this remember me for the next 30 days in case anybody was wondering. You're getting kicked out all the time. Click that little box. Okay. Now let's see if it goes first time. There we go. Oh, okay. All right. You'll have to pardon me. I'm sitting here trying to scan a label that I printed from a different account. That's not awkward. Hey, everybody's got a first time. Okay? Can't be a consummate professional all the time. So if you're ever about anybody stealing your stuff, if someone tries scanning your QR codes, that's what's going to happen. It's going to kick them out of their own system. Okay. Oh, it's such a tiny label. It doesn't want to scan it. Maybe I should have printed bigger ones. And this is why you print sample labels, because these labels are too tiny. And my hand scanner will not scan this. Yeah, it's on there. It's not going to scan it. Okay. All right. So we are going to. Nobody peek at my secret stuff. We're going to log into my real account. I've got very secret things there. Okay. Let's use the labels I made earlier that have a bigger QR code on it. There we go. See, this does work when you don't have user error. So I can go from here. I can do my activities. For this snake, I'm going to do a weight. It's just the right snake that I weighed earlier. This is, okay. I weighed this snake earlier, and this snake was 129 grams. Submit. Boom. And now for the computer, it's going to take me back to my hand scanner screen where I'm ready to scan the next animal. So if I'm going through and I'm scanning a bunch of stuff and I'm doing it, boop, boop, boop. Once I'm set up on the scanner, you're always on the scanner. You enter your activity, it's going to bring you back to here. But I'm going to put these labels on every tub I have. Yeah, I'm putting on the wrong stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so now this is going to be all of your activities. This is what I have set up for my system. And you can actually customize all of this if you didn't know. You can have it set up. Like I used to have this with like 7 things on this first screen, but I found when I'm using it on a phone, only these first 4 show up, and then the rest of them's off the page, and I don't like having to scroll. So I turned it down to where it's just 4, and then I can see the other activity button on my phone, and that's at the bottom of my phone screen right there when I'm doing this for my phone. So I can set it up custom however I want it. And here's my other activities that I use that aren't on here. You know, reproduction, this is one that you'll use a lot. This is how you convert, you know, set up eggs in your incubator. And I'll use this a lot. Like I just used this today for a clutch I pulled. I go in here, set up my clutch number. It's automatically going to have the sire ID in there because this would be a female that I was breeding and she has already paired with that male. So it's going to have it in there, put in my eggs. And I can set that up. You're going to do everything with this QR code.
So Jeremy had a really good point right here.
You're passionate. Oh, yes. Public versus private QRs. Ooh, I wasn't ready for that one. You can be a surprise one. Let me see if I can find that. Settings. Let's go look for it together. General settings. It might be under scanner settings. Let me see here. There is a toggle switch in here for public QR codes somewhere. Someone might call it out in the chat what screen it's on, but I. Let's go look in scanners. It'll be one I have to turn on. And this is where you come to set up your handheld scanner and stuff like that. You got to make sure you activate it, turn it on, and everything.
Okay.
Ooh. Let me see if it's in my profile. No, it's not in there. Oh, man.
Jeremy, do you know what it's under?
Yeah, Jeremy hit me with the one I don't know off the top of my head on where it's at for the settings. I know it's going to be one I have turned on. Oh, here we go. We passed it the first time. It's in general settings. Right here. Use URL public accessible QR codes. This will turn on the ability for your QR codes to be scanned from a normal phone outside of your account. The user will then be given a link to view this animal online. If this is turned on, additional options will display below. So you want to turn this on. See if there's nothing down here. You turn it on. And now you get this whole little section right here where you can control what a customer sees whenever they scan your stuff. So you want them to view the public page. You want the latest activities. You can turn that on. And here you can set like how many activities. Like I only want to show them the last 3 feedings. You know, I've got it on 20 because I like to show them a good bit of information. You can change the order of them. You can turn any one of these off. You know, so you can give them limited information or you can give them full information. This is a new box, right? I had it checked out. We just added the photos not too long ago. Oh. So you can share everything with these people. And this is good because they can look on there and they can see the sire info and the dam info. If you've been using our system for a while and you've got the parents' pictures loaded in there, the customer that's standing there at your table can scan that, and they can see the lineage. They can see your parents right there, what they look like. So that's a really nice feature. You always want to make sure you scroll down and save changes after you do anything here. But once you set that up once, all your QR codes are fine. You don't have to worry about anybody coming up and scanning your stuff and getting access to it. It's from outside the system. And y'all saw what happened whenever I tried to scan. I have 2 different accounts, and I tried to scan the wrong account. Even from inside the system, it's kicking me out. And so, even though you put it on public, understand it's very restricted. And I'll show you what it looks like, because I can scan one. I got my trusty cell phone here, and you just have your customer pull up their camera and just scan it. And well, my screen's inverted, so you can't read it, but it shows up all the information on there. You got pictures. You can see that I'm slacking and I don't have pictures of all the animals in here. I found an animal with a picture. Me, I'm fancy. So if you've got the pictures, they'll show up. And again, you can turn all this off so they don't see all this. They can they can contact you right there, inquire to buy the animal. So if you're sitting there and you got people scanning your QR codes and stuff and you're busy at a show, I have actually had multiple times. I'm not going to say it happens every single show, but there's been multiple times where I've been sitting there and I'm slow and I look at my phone for a second and I've got an email from someone who used that inquire to buy button. They're like, hey, you were busy earlier at the show. Is that animal still there? I'd like to get it. And I'm like, sure is. Come on. And they came back and bought the snake from that. I've had people the week after the show, they took a screenshot of that, or saved it as one of their open, tabs on their internet browser, and they just come back and hit the inquire later. And so it's nice to have that, and you can tell them, like, oh, hey, what's the pairing on this? What's that? A lot of this information, especially your smaller breeders, you're going to know a lot of this. But once you get to your mid to high level breeders and stuff, you're not going to remember every single pairing. The lineage of the parents that came with the pairing, but you're going to have it right there at your fingertips. You can tell the customer, hey, scan that right there. It's going to have that birth date on there that I don't remember off the top of my head, because you had 40 clutches last year. You can't remember every birthday. But you're professional. You've got that information available for your customers. You're able to service them to the best way possible by giving them that access.
Yes, absolutely. And any way you can sell an animal is a good way to sell an animal.
Correct.
But
you can use your labels, scan them whenever you're doing feedings. I tell people first when they're setting up the system, that's one of the first things you want to do. Obviously you need to get your animals in the system, but if you're going to go utilizing the system to its fullest, most of that happens from a label or from an NFC tag. And you're going to need to set up either one of those. The label gives you something visual to look at. The NFC is nice because you can walk around and just tap all your animals. You're never going to scan the wrong thing. But I still like the labels. Even I've set some NFCs up in the building behind me, but I still like my label because I can see what the animal is. And then when I'm going through and I'm doing a bunch of them, I can scan them and I can get them a little faster than tapping.
Right.
So that's a nice one. Oh, there he is. It's under general settings. You're a little late there, Jeremy.
Oh, he beat you to it earlier. Right when it popped up, you said it. HP for the win. That's right.
We've been going for about an hour here. That's longer than I thought it was. It goes by quick.
It does.
Does anybody have any questions on any ways to use labels or how to make a label? Any questions along that? We'll actually take, if anybody's got questions on anything right now, we'll go ahead and take it. We've got a couple minutes before I'll sign us off.
And use Texoma 60 for a 60-day free trial of Husbandry.Pro.
Yeah, if you're here and you're watching it and you haven't signed up for it yet, use that code down there. It's going to give you a second month free to check this out. Get all your animals in there, get everything loaded up and working the way you want it. And you don't even have to put your credit card information in before you sign up. Just make sure you set up for the package that you're looking for. I will say that to people. Sign up for a commercial. Do a commercial trial. You're going to get everything for the first 60 days. Whenever it comes time to pay, pick the package that works best for you. Oh, let's see. We still got a few people watching here. Let's see if anybody's got anything. Something I didn't. You got anything, Holly? Something I didn't think of on the labels or a way to utilize them? I mean, it's pretty
Not
much.
that I know of. I know we can use them for more than just reptiles and snakes. You can use them for a wide variety of things, honestly. If you
Yeah.
want to keep track of your cleaning supplies, y'all, you can put it on your like, okay, yes. Am I almost out? Or what do I need? Or how much do I have at home? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you're going to use it. Basically, it's for activities. To sum it up in one word, what are your labels for? They're for activities, and you're going to use something to record them. And it's not the most efficient to be sitting there at your computer logging in stuff that you already did in your room. It's efficient to be doing it at the same time. And so you've got your phone out and you're doing it as you go through and you clean. For those of us with like larger collections that have facilities and stuff like that, you're doing it. You're going through with your cleaning cart. You've got a hand scanner and a tablet sitting there. One of our users, I've seen it. He's got a nice little tablet mount sitting on his cart. And so his tablet is mounted to his cart. And then he's just got the hand scanner sitting there and he's just rolling through cleaning. Boop, doop, doop, boop, doop, doop. Whenever you're doing major scale like that, you want everything's fast, everything's efficient. And a lot of this stuff we've gone through with an efficiency mind about how can we make it faster, quicker. And we've literally gotten it down to where it's faster than you can possibly pick up a pen and write it down on a card on the side of your tub. And you can't get faster than that. I mean, that's the best to hope for. Oh, on the lineage tree. Yeah, we did some tweaks to that. It's pretty nice. I know you do that in carpet pythons. I'll do some like pretty extensive lineage trees in there. I've been wanting to build that out myself since I've gotten into some carpet pythons. It's nice to be able to have that full pedigree out there, kind of like I mean, to have it for dogs, might as well have it for all of our reptiles too, right?
That's right.
And if y'all have any problems when you're setting this up, like you've been sitting there going through it, I'm not saying the first time you run into a little snag, reach out to IT. You want to try to, there is some setup stuff involved, but if you just beating your head up against the wall and you can't get something to just set up right, feel free to put in an IT ticket and our guys will log in and look at it, but make sure you're giving them all the data. What size leg you're using and screenshots of the errors that you're getting. But if you provide them the right information, like I had problems with my Avery labels and I was beating my head up against the wall when I set them up and I just could not get them in. I messed with it for hours. And I put in a ticket, and that's when they told me, they're like, hey, you have this in as 89.9. It needs to be 89.5. I was like, changed it, and it worked perfectly. It's an Avery conversion issue, and it's Avery.
Right.
But yeah. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I think we're at about time. We're supposed to do for an hour here. I know our next chat will be with Alvaro from Clover Reptiles. Let me pull it up real quick and I'll get y'all a date and a time. I know it will be next week. We're doing these every week with a different topic. We're going to try to get through everything in the menu for Husbandry.Pro. It might not be in order, but we're going to start on some of the bigger ticket items and we're going to eventually try to go through everything in this series. And we have all right, we got Alvaro Linares is 8 p.m. on the 5th next week, and he will be talking about creating a breeding plan and ways to utilize that and how to enter activities and stuff like that for the breeding plan. So if you've been setting up breeding plans or you're working on setting those up, if you have any questions, visit us next week. What day is the week is that? I believe that's Thursday. Oh, no, he's on Wednesday. Okay. So that's next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So everyone be here for that. Feel free to comment with any questions. I'll check them later and I might throw in some replies if anybody missed anything. And this will be posted on YouTube for everyone to come and look at later in the reference. And we'll also end up linking these to Husbandry.Pro later so you can come up here and look and see how we set up a label.
Awesome. Well,
all right.
I hope everybody learned something. I know I did.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It was good seeing y'all. Until next week.